Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the LinkedIn Live. We're also streaming on Facebook and YouTube. My name is Mike Stallings. I'm the Senior VP here at Capital Distribution. Today I'm joined by Michael Reckner from Trio Capital, and we're going to be talking about Section 179, some of the basics, and also talking about some promotions we're running with 0% financing and so on and so forth. I hope everybody had a great Labor Day weekend as well. I forgot to mention that. It seems so far away already as we end summer here and football season starts tonight. I know Mike's excited about that. We've got some rival teams going later on tonight. But today, and thank you all for coming, by the way. This is Section 179 is kind of a it's been around for a little bit, but it's not utilized as much as it should be. And, it's something that can really be a benefit to your property. Again, whether you're a facilities manager, run a multifamily unit, even for hotels, hospitals, so many different potential because of the flexibility of it. And then when you add in 0% financing to it to implement these solutions, you're really kind of getting double the bang for your buck. There's our introduction there. This is just a picture of our homepage. By the way, if you have any questions, just put them in the chat box there in the bottom. Should be on the bottom portion of the feed there, and we'll try to answer them as we go along. But more than likely, we'll probably answer them at the end if possible, unless it's something pressing. This is a picture of our homepage, gocapitalddistribution.com. Solutions, we've been in business since 2015. Solutions for homeowners, plumbers, and any and all commercial and residential applications. Today, we're going to, talk about four main things, really. One, what is Section 179? What is it? How can it help you? Two, how 0% financing helps implement these cost-saving solutions and give you a faster return on investment. What types of solutions are eligible for your property or your institution? And more, and at the end, some special promotions that we're running here at Capital, and actually also Trio is running as well for us, that Mike's going to talk about in a second. So that being said, I'm going to step off the stage. Mike, you've got the floor, and fire away, and just I'll bring the presentation up there for you, and away you go.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Mike. Appreciate you having me on today, and I'm super excited to obviously talk about the benefits of IRS 179. And, pairing that, like you said, with the 0% interest program that we exclusively offer with Capital Distribution. And, it's something that, in this economic climate, rates are what they are. And, anytime you can capitalize on a 0% interest program, it's hugely beneficial for the business and for that relationship moving forward. So that's why we exclusively offer that with you, and we value our partnership with you. So I'm going to obviously keep it brief, but go into some of the benefits of 179. Especially we see it when we deal with our commercial dealer partners and their customers daily, and some of the benefits, especially around this time of year. Their accountant starts to call and starts to say, hey, this is that time of year where you have to spend X, Y, and Z, and some of the business owners don't even realize the benefits. A lot of them do and use it strategically. And so, I'm just going to touch on some brief points. Some of you might already know this, and it's just a nice overview of what you could be really tapping into. Obviously, I'm not a accountant professional or a CPA. Check with your local CPA or your tax professional and follow up on the details. But I'm going to get into this right now. Okay. And so, a little introduction. Trio Capital, an exclusive partnership with Capital Distribution, offers tailored financing solutions designed for commercial property management. This presentation highlights the powerful benefits of pairing IRS 179 tax advantages with flexible financing options, including our exclusive 0% interest for 24 months promotion. Like I mentioned, please contact or reach out to your preferred CPA or accounting professional just to go over some of the specifics, whether it's in your state or for this year, because some of the details and bylaws do change yearly. So what is IRS 179? IRS 179 allows businesses to deduct the full purchase price of the qualifying equipment purchased or financed during this tax year for 2025. What that means is it brings immediate tax savings. So, if I have a customer coming to me worried about basically getting a smart valve or something like that, I don't really have the cash for it right now. When you present the solution that you'll be able to write this complete purchase off your bottom line, that opens up a whole new floodgate of opportunity where they're not paying as much in taxes on the bottom line on the end. So again, little savings like that a lot of new businesses may not realize they can tap into. And once you start buying more equipment for your business, it really starts to snowball in the savings amount. And then also it encourages reinvestment in property improvements. Once you realize some of the benefits of IRS 179, it makes you more inclined to obviously reinvest in your business. More pieces of equipment, more projects you can focus capital on. So all those things, go a long way. And it's obviously, we deal with it with all business owners in our industry. In the lending industry, we deal with anywhere from construction to, bait vending. Me personally, I have a few bait vending companies, but any business can capitalize off this savings, and specifically for the commercial property upgrades, commercial property management, everything with, the smart valve and the Vulcan, it ties beautifully for that savings. And then obviously paired along with the 0% interest program, it's a perfect marriage. And just more about the benefits, just some brief, key details. You could deduct up to around 1.2 million in 2025. I believe they changed that recently. They raised it, which was great. I know under Trump's new bill, there was some back and forth on what was going to basically be allowed and not allowed. And thankfully, IRS 179 stayed. It reduces taxable income significantly, especially, some of the small to medium type businesses are usually not going to spend that much in equipment, but obviously you have the room and the structure to create a ton of savings. And in that savings, it creates an immediate cash flow advantage. Instead of spending that $25,000 on the invoice price, you could do the 0% interest program, have a small monthly payment, and still capitalize on that full $25,000 write-off with IRS 179. So yeah, it induces the strong incentive for property managers to reinvest in upgrades. And some of the power of equipment financing. A lot of business owners do use it, obviously, but a lot don't. They think cash is king, and while it is, the power of financing is equally as strong. So when combined with IRS 179, equipment financing offers unparalleled advantages. From preserving your cash flow and working capital for projects, it actually in turn creates more cash flow, more time to spread cost over time, whether you select the terms on the financing, anywhere from, in our exclusive program, we have 0% for 24 months. But if you're in a pinch and you really, really need to spread something out, we can go out to 72 months on some bigger projects. And we can go over those details based on an approval. But taking immediate ownership and tax deduction with IRS 179, it boosts operational efficiency without large upfront spend. So obviously a lot of this is self-explanatory, but it's hammering home that to take advantage of it. It's there for business owners who need it, and the ones that use it truly capitalize. Instead of using all of your cash in this rough economic climate, use financing, use IRS 179, have it be a strong benefit for your business. That's what it's there for. And I would be willing to bet anything, almost as much as I would bet that the Eagles are going to win tonight, Mike, that your accountant would tell you the same thing. So kind of piggybacking that into our exclusive 0% interest program with Mike in Capital Distribution, this is something we don't offer. Obviously, it's no secret the Fed rate is around 7.5 right now. Rates are not favorable. They are where they are. Hopefully they're coming down. And having a program like this is truly a game changer. You know, we've seen it on deal after deal that we've hammered home. The savings and the light bulb that goes off with, wait, I can spread my payment out over 24 months and get 0% interest program instead of spending 20, 30, $40,000. This is a no-brainer. Why not? There's no prepayment penalties, anything like that. So it's a beautiful thing, and that's why it's here for customers to take advantage of exclusively through Capital Distribution. So, you know, it's something that, you know, we're super excited about. We worked, you know, hard on putting the details together, and we're excited to bring it to you guys. So it's a 0% interest for 24 months. It's exclusive financing for, you know, Mike's customers, which are usually commercial property and anything that deals with the Smart Valve or Vulcan. And then in turn, you obviously can capitalize on the IRS 179 payment deduction. And this is going to be limited, right? So Mike, I don't know if you want to step in. I think we're running this for the end of the month, and then we might possibly revisit it at the end of Q4. We don't know if we're going to do that yet.
So yeah, I'm going to touch on the when we get to the end, I'm going to touch
Okay.
on some of the promotions we're running. But yeah, to answer your question, it's not going to, you know, we're going to be offering 0% at no cost to our customers through this program that Mike and I have put together through Trio and Capital. So yeah, I mean, I'll dive more into that in a minute,
Okay.
but go ahead and finish up. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And then, yeah, you know, again, just to reiterate, the things you can do with the power of financing and the power of 179. So projects that you need cash flow for, instead of putting yourself in a hole by spending that $30,000, $40,000, or you might not be in a hole, but instead of doing that, and you have, or in another scenario, a lot of my customers, they have budgets, big Fortune 500, Fortune 5,000 companies, they still have budgets. To meet that budget, they finance, or you know, they have to stick to a certain, you know, monthly payment, and we're able to make it fit. Specifically with a 0% interest program, there's no way we wouldn't be able to make it fit. And so that is the beauty of it. And I know Mike is always coming up with new ways on his end, obviously, to create savings for his customers. We are on the same end, and we have a multitude of programs that fit. If it's something that long term you want to look at, something longer than 24 months, we can obviously look at those details on the approval. And then obviously when making these significant upgrades, you're going to obviously see the savings with the Smart Valve and the Vulcan, and the improvement of quality on everything in your building. And yeah, I mean, a lot of this kind of is a little bit redundant, but it's just hammering home the importance of, especially this time of year. This is when all the CPAs, the tax professionals, your accountant are going to be calling, and you're going to be trying to create savings. And he's going to tell you, this is what we need to spend to offset some of these earnings. And this is what IRS 179 is for. It's for to improve your business, to use strategic upgrades like the Smart Valve, like the Vulcan, and to have it make sense to create cash flow for you. So that's really what it is. It's not rocket science, but it's something that it might not be something you know. So that's why we're doing this today, just to create awareness about it. And obviously it's that time of year. And so we just want to pair that with this exclusive promotion of 0% in a time where rates, I'm sure you all know, are anywhere from 8 to 12%, maybe a little lower in some cases if you have your stuff together. But that's where they are. So to really capitalize on a 0% interest program is truly rare. So, you know, we're super excited about it. And yeah, I'm super excited to be here today. And I appreciate it, Mike. And I'm going to turn it back to you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mike. And you kind of stole my thunder a little bit on some of this because regarding the Smart Valve and the Vulcan, I was going to kind of get to that. But you know, that's the thing. Mike and I have been doing a lot of business together for some time now, our companies, and you know, it's a well, you know what? Let me save it. Let me go into it in a minute here. So one thing I did want to touch on that, you know, and it's actually one of the questions that's in the chat already, but is what kind of items can benefit from 179? And that would include, and it's kind of ironic that the question was asked because it's actually the first slide I'm going to go into, and it's anything from HVAC systems, water and energy efficiency equipment, which I'm going to talk about shortly, but commercial kitchen equipment, elevators, lifts, security details, laundry equipment if you're buying washer dryers, etc. for the tenants or for your guests. Roofing, lighting, all these things fall, and there's many more too. These are just some of the common ones that come up, and there is a lot of different ways that 179 can help you. Is basically what I'm getting at. I'm also going to keep things very short and sweet today as well. Mike mentioned that, and we really wanted to put together just the basics. We're both available here to answer any more detailed questions. I'm sure we'll get a few questions in the chat as we go along here. Mike had mentioned, the benefits of 179 and the power of combining that with 0% financing, giving you not only the ability to save on your tax dollars, but also getting, that 24 months of flexibility to spread the payments out over time, even though you're taking the 179 deduction right away. But what if you could not only save on those two sides of things, but also save money on your water, sewer, and/or energy bills, while utilizing Section 179, putting no money out front and not paying any interest? I mean, we talked about the bang for your buck before about combining 179 and 0% financing. This is the trifecta. If you can not only save money on your water and sewer, save money on your energy, but also not put any money out, including for the installation of these solutions, and get the tax deduction, I mean, this is the no-brainer of no-brainers. And just to give you an example, and I'm going to show a couple examples here, and then these may not be the exact numbers for your property, but on average, 200-unit apartment complex might be using 18 million gallons of water a year, spending about $182,000. It's probably a little less than that. I think this number is a little high, but energy costs about $120,000 a year. So your total between the two is about $300,000. And if you go, as another example, a 600-bed hospital, much higher water sewer bill, the usage is much higher, energy usage is much higher, talking about a $2.4 million, total cost. What if there was a way to reduce both of these by up to 20 to 25% and take advantage of the 179 and the 0% interest rate at the same time? Well, I want to talk about two products today, and Mike kind of, like I said, stole my thunder a little bit and touched on them because he knows that these are working products that a lot of our customers, both his and mine, have taken advantage of this, and that's the Vulcan and the Smart Valve. And these really, this is about helping saving properties like yours money with a fast ROI. And with the solutions we're offering today, between the ones, talking about 179, which many of you are aware of already, but also the 0% financing, again, it's the perfect trifecta because you're saving money on your property, you're upgrading it, and you're getting the tax deduction, and you're not paying anything out of pocket. Again, you can't really go wrong with that. So first, on the Smart Valve, what it is, the Smart Valves, for those of you who don't know, it's a device that's installed after the meter on the user's side, and it's true and not only benefit, but the primary benefit is that it ensures you're paying what you should be for your water and sewer costs. And it does this by, and by the way, it's a set it and forget it solution. There's no maintenance required. There's no upkeep. There's no adjusting. You can adjust it after installation, but it's not required. But if something changes and you need to, you can always do it without shutting the water off. And as I mentioned, it's installed after the meter. And what it's doing essentially is maintaining the pressure at the meter to make sure that your meter is actually reading accurately and you're only getting charged for your usage. You're not getting charged because the meter's overspinning, because that no longer happens. You're maintaining a nice steady flow through the meter, and ensures that any pockets of air that are present in the line are not going to be counted because they're going to remain compressed, so they don't register on volume anymore. And that's what's happening. If you don't have the Smart Valve in now, that's what's happening on your building. You're actually overpaying for your usage to the tune of somewhere between 15 and 25%. The results since the Smart Valve, we've been marketing the Smart Valve for almost a decade now. 98% of our customers save 10% or more on their water and sewer usage. 70% save 20% or more. Most of our folks fall in the 15 to 25% range. That's pretty much probably 80% of our customers, but those that don't, almost all of them save more than 25%. We've had numbers in the 30s and the 40s, even into the 50s, which is rare, but it has happened. So how do we do this to make sure this is the solution for you? First thing we're going to do is we're going to evaluate your property. We're going to walk through everything. We're going to talk to you on the phone. We're going to, do video calls. We're going to look at pictures. But most importantly, we're going to take your water sewer bill and evaluate what your potential savings is going to be, because we want you to know ahead of time what it is. And on this is something every client gets as part of their evaluation. We show you the good, the great, the extraordinary, the 10%, 20%, 30%, and we highlight 20% because that's the average. So but I think the big telling thing here, and why we always try to push for the urgency, is you can see the cost of water and sewer going up over time. And that's if your usage stays the same. So as you can see over time, the sooner you implement a solution like the Smart Valve, the faster you're going to start making money and stay ahead of this curve of rising water and sewer costs. So to sum up the entire process, we do the evaluation for you. We show you the numbers. We give you the expected ROI numbers based at 10%, 20%, 30%. We show you your total savings over time. If you're going to invest money, whether you're using 0% financing and not putting anything out of pocket or paying out of pocket, you want to know how much of my money am I going to get back over the 10 years that the product's in warranty. So once we go through all that and we determine together that it makes sense, you move forward. We're going to actually start monitoring your location. We're going to provide you with a monitoring service that's going to let us know what your usage is day to day right now. So we get a kind of a preliminary reading on that. From there, we're going to work with your plumber of choice, or we can recommend somebody, depending on where you're located, to get the Smart Valve installed. Once it's installed, you're going to see a reduction in your bill, somewhere between 15 and 25% most likely. But the important thing is we're also going to continue to monitor for you through this whole process. So you're going to get your results right away. You're going to know within a few weeks, maybe a month, how much you're saving on your water and sewer. And what we do at the end of that is we provide an actual breakdown and show you, hey, this is where you were before, this is where you are now, this is how much you're saving, this is what it's going to be annualized over the course of the next 12 months, how much money you're going to be saving on your water and sewer costs. So the important thing, and by the way, the other thing with this monitoring is, on top of giving you very quickly seeing the results, you're also going to get an early warning system if you have any leaks on the property, any major leaks. Because what happens is when you get this monitoring, and you have the option to keep it or send it back at the end of the preliminary period, but what you can do is you can set values that for example, if you set 1,000 units, let's say that, like, hey, this is what the most I'm ever going to use in water in a given day. If you go outside that limits, let's say you hit like 1,100 or 1,200 units, you're going to get an email and a text saying, hey, you're outside your normal daily unit. You might have a leak. So that gives you peace of mind knowing that, hey, normally, and people that have had this happen to them know, whether you're talking about a hospital, hotel, senior home, apartment complex, a lot of times you don't know you have a leak until you get the next bill. And that could be a monthly or it could be a quarterly. So this lets you know right away, hey, you have some kind of leak going on because you're outside your daily average or daily threshold. So it's another important factor that's really important. So we're not only going to give you the results right away and let you see how much you're saving, you're also going to know, God forbid, there is a leak on the property. Now, when we combine Section 179 and the 0% financing, this is how this typically looks. And I just used a simple example here. Taking like a 4-inch Smart Valve, let's say it's $10,000. Let's say your plumber of choice is going to charge you $3,000 to install it. And let's say your bill is on average $70,000 a year. Okay. You can go with the standard purchase, spend the $13,000. You're going to get the $2,730 back on the Section 179. We're basing that on a 21% tax rate, which I believe the current tax rate is. Mike, maybe you can give me a thumbs up or thumbs down on that. I don't know if is that the current business tax rate, 21%?
I believe so. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but it sounds right.
Okay. Yeah, I'm almost sure of it, but I'll just we can adjust that just in case. If you pay for it up front, you're not shelling out anything. You're going to save about $14,000. You're going to make about $3,700 profit year one. Year two, you're going to make $14,000 profit, which is the same. And actually, that'll be a little higher because your rates are probably going to go up a little bit. But combined over the first 2 years, you're going to save about $17,000 and change. Okay. You could always finance it. As Mike mentioned, there are programs out there. Let's say you took a 1-year loan at 8%. Again, you're not shelling anything out. Your payments for the first year are going to be $13,560, along with the credit from 179. You're going to make about $3,000 profit. You're going to make $14,000 year 2. You're going to save a little less because you had to finance it and pay the interest for the year. But what if you could do the same thing and not get column 1 there, which is the maximum benefit you can get in terms of this scenario, but not shell anything out and spread your payments out over 2 years? And that's what the third column here is. And that's the power of this. You can shell nothing out, get the same 179 tax deduction, saving about $2,700. Your monthly payment would be $541 a month if we took $13,000 and spread it out over 24 months. You're still going to save $14,000 the first year. So your first year, your profit, not only do you not put any money out and get that flexibility of spreading it out, but your profit is almost 3 times as much year 1 as opposed to if you just paid out of pocket to do it. So that's the big key here, is that not only do you not put any money out under the 0% program we're offering, you're actually going to save over $10,000 without shelling out a dime in the first year with the Smart Valve if you save the average amount. And then year 2, you're going to save about $7,500. And then you still get that $17,730, which is what you would get if you shelled the $13,000 out up front. So this is the power of this. And that's why we always talk about a sense of urgency. And, you're implementing something that's going to save you money on water and sewer and not shelling out a dime, where your payment's going to be less than what your savings is per month, which is pretty much unheard of. So moving on to the next solution, the Vulcan. This is one of our newer solutions. We've had it for about 6 months, but it's been around for a long time. It's in over 70 countries around the world. They're just starting to make it their way into the US. And it's an eco-friendly device that breaks down scale and corrosion. It basically does something very similar to what water softeners do, only you're not getting all the negative eco side of it. You're not removing anything. You're not using salts. There's no maintenance on this. This, again, is very much a set it and forget it product. It's chemical free. There's no salt. It takes up very little space. It actually attaches to the outside of the pipe. The smallest version of this can take up only 20 inches of your pipe. And basically what you're doing is you're using a process called electrolysis that's breaking down the molecules of calcium carbonate, which is scale and the buildup you see. If you've ever, and anybody who's in hospitality knows, if you've ever seen the white foam that comes out of shower heads and on your aerators, this is going to eliminate that because that's calcium carbonate building up. As I mentioned, it's an easy installation. There's no pipe cutting. There's no system shutdown. Many people install them themselves, both at homeowners and commercial entities. And you're also getting the long-term protection. You're not a scale that has built up over time. And what is scale? Why is it so important? What does it do for your property? What is it doing to your property? Well, there's a lot of things that can happen. You can get a system failure, breakdown of your water systems from it. There's a picture here in the right corner, it's looking at somebody. We've had people put these in even in just restaurants because they can break down and prolong the times they need to clean, like grease traps and so on and so forth. So anybody with a restaurant or has a kitchen or commercial kitchen in their property, it's something to think about too. It's also going to benefit there. Repair costs. When you have scale buildup on your equipment, you get more maintenance calls. You get more, which is more man hours. You got to pay your maintenance guy to go work on this. Plus, you got to pay for the parts to actually change them out. Performance loss. When you have a scale buildup in the pipe, and you see it there on the left, that's what's happening inside your pipes in a hard scale situation. You're getting reduced water pressure. You're getting, it costs more to heat the water. You're getting lower flow rates. Lots of negatives there. And then operational delays. Again, anybody who's managing or a facility director of, like, let's say a factory production plant, if the water's not getting to the line to where you need it to produce your products, guess what? Your production's slowed down. That's a cost as well. Some of the quick facts on this: if you have 1/8 of an inch of scale buildup within your pipes or on your equipment, you can be increasing your energy use by up to 25%. For a 200-room hotel, that's $30,000 a year in increased costs. You're cleaning your shower heads and faucets twice as frequently. You're going to get a reduction in the commercial lifespan of any equipment, whether it's chillers, boilers, anything you're using to heat water or water running through it, it's going to shrink that lifespan down to almost 50% less. Big thing, and this has been in the news, at least locally here, there was a big case of Legionella out in the Bronx. You're increasing the likelihood of bacteria growth within the pipes, because what happens is you get this scale within the pipe and you get this layer, and in between the pipe and the scale, there's a tiny little thing there. And guess what? That's where the bacteria starts to grow. That's where they're going to take home, and that's where they're going to spread from. We're going to eliminate that with the Vulcan. As I mentioned, decreasing water pressure and flow, visible spots on fixtures. These all take man hours, cleaning chemicals, so on and so forth. All this is more of a cost to you. Excuse me. One of the largest national chains actually reported that any inefficiency can cause an increase up to $400 per room or apartment per year if it's left untreated. So what does Vulcan do actually? What are the three effects? What are the three benefits of implementing the solution? Number one, scale prevention. What basically happens, and I'm going to show you another slide in a minute. Normally, if you have moderate to hard water, you're getting a buildup of scale, let's say this high. I've got to make sure I put it in front of the camera. You're getting a reduction of this much per day. What Vulcan does this. It reverses it. You're going to get more of a reduction, and you'll still get a little bit of buildup. That's just common naturally, but you're going to take more out, and over time, any buildup you have in your pipes and on your equipment, it's going to be slowly removed away. And that's where the scale reduction comes in. It's also going to, the effect, what it's going to do is it's going to create a protective layer to extend the life of the piping. And it's also going to prevent any bacteria from taking refuge within your water system. So these are all very key components. And again, I don't want to go too deep into this. I wanted to keep it short and simple today, but those are the three main benefits. And basically what happens is before treatment, if you have severe scale buildup, it's going to restrict your water flow, damage equipment, energy costs are going to rise, maintenance becomes more frequent and expensive, system failures become increasingly common. And once you implement the Vulcan, pipes become cleaner, you get better water flow, equipment performs efficiently with extended lifespan. The maintenance intervals, you're going to see a significant reduction in that. Every customer that I've talked to so far that has implemented Vulcan that has a maintenance staff, it's a larger institution, every single one of them has said, we have gotten fewer calls on this boiler or this chiller or these pumps, whatever it is. They have all said the same thing. Their reduction has been as much as 50% in terms of calls. That alone, the man hours on that is incredible, and it almost pays for itself just with that. And now your operating costs are going to decrease. And you can see here on the right, Chrysler instituted this. You can see the before and after. This is what we're talking about. Which piece of equipment do you think works more effectively, the one on the left or the one on the right in that bottom right picture there? I mean, again, it's one of those no-brainers where you of course you want it to look like on the right. That's going to be more effective. So the cost to implement a Vulcan, and I just did a quick example here. If we're talking about a 200-unit complex, treating the main line and any closed systems, and I'll explain more about that in a second. But basically, closed systems are typically where you're recirculating your hot water. It goes through maybe mixing valves, goes through the boiler or comes into the boiler, goes through the boiler, goes through the mixing valves, comes back around, and also goes up to your units. So we would treat the main line typically and also those lines. So to give an example, again, this is a rough estimate, say about $15,000 to implement the Vulcan. And let's say the property is using, for those particular pieces of equipment that are actually utilizing the water, let's say that they're using about $120,000 in energy costs per year, which is pretty average. Again, going back to the same thing with the smart valve we talked about, you could lay out the $15,000. You're going to get the $3,100.50 from the $179. You're not going to have an ongoing payment. On average, you're going to save about 25% on your energy costs. So you're going to save $30,000 by treating this. And then year one, you're going to save about $18,000. Year two, you're going to save about $30,000. You're up to $48,000 in the first 2 years alone, which, by the way, this product has a 25-year warranty. So you're looking at 25 years of savings moving forward. You could take the loan out, again, not shell anything out, get the $3,150 savings from $179. You'll have payments of, if you pay it off in 1 year, you're going to pay out about an extra $1,000 or so in interest. You're still going to save $30,000. Your profit year one is going to be a little less. Profit year two will be the same, and you're going to save a little less money over time. Or again, talking about the urgency, since we're only going to have this program for a limited time, you could take advantage of the 0% financing, not shell anything out, get the savings right away, pay $625 a month for 24 months. Year one, save $25,000, get your money, get the profit back in your pocket faster. Year two, save $22,000, and then year three and moving forward, it's just gravy. And you save the same amount as if you paid out of pocket and still don't need to give any money. So you keep that flexibility. You know, Mike had mentioned earlier, cash is king. Guess what? You can keep your cash, make it king, but also implement a solution like this so you get the tax credit in 2025, get a small monthly payment to spread it out over time, keep your reserve cash on hand, and still get the perks of upgrading your building and saving money on water. I mean, you're going to save almost $50,000 in 2 years from investing $15,000. That's a 3x return on investment in 2 years. It's pretty incredible. So how does this savings occur from the energy side? You know, I mentioned it's only going to affect obviously your equipment that's utilizing water, because we're going to treat that water and make sure that it doesn't have the scale and corrosion buildup that we talked about before. So you're going to reduce the boiler and chiller energy use, the amount of electric that's costing you to actually heat the water. And that's your heat exchangers. Reducing the pump and circulation inefficiencies. Anybody who has booster pumps or any circulator pumps knows that they consistently break down and consistently have to be replaced. Those can be expensive. We're going to reduce and extend the life of those. We're going to extend the life of those and reduce the maintenance calls on them. The other key factor, and this is very important for whether you have an apartment complex or you have a hotel chain, hospitals, whatever it is, all those appliances that use water, think your dishwashers, washing machines, the individual water heaters within each unit, those are going to work much more efficiently. Your maintenance director is not going to be getting the same amount of calls as he did before. It's going to extend the life of those. You know, in some cases, you know, if you take a typical water heater that has an 8 to 10 year lifespan, if you have hard scale buildup, that could be down to 4 to 5 years. So you want that 8 to 10 years. I mean, you're actually saving yourself from buying another water heater. You're making it last twice as long almost. So you want to make sure you're addressing that, because that's a cost, and this is a one-time investment where moving forward you're going to be paying about $1 a month to utilize the Vulcan. And again, there's no other maintenance. There's no, you know, you're not adding salts or changing filters or anything like that. You set this and forget it. You install it. It takes about 10 minutes to install. You plug it in, you're done. That's it. And the big thing too is less frequent repairs, because that's man hours. You know, you don't want your maintenance guy running from location to location. You want him to have some time to actually get things done that need to get done, not going every other week to a call because a water heater burst, or, you know, part needs to be replaced, or whatever it is. You want to minimize his time for these costly repairs. The other thing that, you know, we actually ran a study, and this was based on hotels, but it can also apply to multifamily as well. This is what we ran in terms of what your experience from your guests was before you had Vulcan and after Vulcan. So, you know, we talk about saving money on energy. We talk about reduced maintenance calls, better flow rates. And a lot of property managers are like, well, you know, I don't really care. I do care. I want to save money, but I'm more important what the tenant thinks and what the guest thinks. This is a great analogy. It shows you before and after. Not only does Vulcan save you money and decrease maintenance calls and make your life better your life and increase the profit of your property, it's also a huge effect on your guests. You could see, are they happy with the fixtures? Are they happy with the quality of the shower? The skin and hair comfort, that's a big thing with Vulcan as well. Reliable hot water, softness of your clothes and your linens, spa and pool cleanliness. A lot of people will actually get a separate Vulcan just to treat the pool. And then the eco-friendly image. Of course, you know, one of the things about water filtration is that if you're using a softener, is you have to use salts and or chemicals. You have to flush the system every 6 months. None of that is eco-friendly. Vulcan is very eco-friendly because it's not utilizing any of that. It's just wrapping around your pipe, utilizing electrolysis, set it and forget it, and you're actually solving the problem. So special offers from Capital for all our attendees today, whether you're seeing this live right now or you see this on the recording. Through the end of September, as we mentioned, we're going to offer 0% financing on Smart Valve and Vulcan. If you purchase multiple solutions, this is a big key. And by the way, there's no charge for the 0% financing. Some companies do that. I've seen that out there somewhere. We don't charge for that. If you implement multiple solutions, you get 10% off on top of the 0% financing, you get 10% off. If you take a Vulcan and a Smart Valve, we're going to give you an additional 10% off plus 0% financing. And here's the biggest key. The first two folks that place an order from this webinar and mention this webinar, we're going to give you an additional 10% off. So even if you buy one Smart Valve, we're going to give you 10% off. If you're one of the first ones, we're going to give you, if you buy two solutions, you're going to get the 10% off from being first or one of the first two people. And we're going to give you another 10% off because you bought two, you implemented the Smart Valve and the Vulcan. And we're going to give you 0% financing. So yes, be one of the first two if you can, for sure. That's really all I have. Mike, do you have anything you want to add? I got a couple questions from the chat here I'm going to put in, but anything you want to close with?
No, I think you kind of definitely, you definitely hit everything. Like I said, I just wanted to reiterate, from seeing commercial agreements and loans and the business that we do here and the value that it brings to customers is truly important and amazing, especially in a time like now. And yeah, I would just encourage all people that are watching this and all, anyone that runs across the recording to definitely take advantage of it. It's truly beneficial for your business. And when you outweigh the pros and cons, there's really no cons. Like it is truly game changing if you use it. So yeah, no, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Well, I do have a couple questions here. I'm just plugging one last thing into the chat here, and I wanted to post this into the chat because so everybody sees it. So let me just go to the last page. So by the way, this is our contact information for me. My direct phone there is listed 201-690-6512. Just hit option 1. My direct email is right there. That's our website. If you want to, and Mike, I don't know if you can maybe touch on this briefly, but we have our own financing page on our website that goes directly to Michael. Mm-hmm. And can you maybe, it was actually one of the questions as well. Can you kind of walk folks through the process of actually applying and how it works and like, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's we make it as seamless and easy as possible on our dealer partners and also our customers. And so everything is done electronically, start to finish. So we have a link. Mike has the link. He could shoot over to you. It's a 1-page application. Probably will take you less than 5 minutes to fill out. In the process, we do what is a soft inquiry. It's called a soft inquiry. Unless we run it solely over through the business, that would be any businesses for 5 years or more time in business, where we could run what is called a corp only application. And then if there's just not enough business credit there, then we'll need to grab a social. But we only do, it's super important because a lot of lenders do hard pulls, right, Mike? So it definitely, the hard inquiries, affect your score. They're on there for a while. We only do a soft look. It doesn't affect your score at all. And customers absolutely love it. And so, and we have a bunch of technology we use on the back end to obviously outweigh the risk on certain applications that come in. But the process itself is a link that comes over to you directly, less than 5 minutes to fill out the application. Once that's in, we usually get a decision in less than 45 minutes to an hour. And from there, I usually call, or Mike can relay, and we go over the program you're interested in. If you're interested and want to move forward, everything is done electronically through DocuSign. Documents go out to you via DocuSign right to your email, and me and Mike get what we need on our end as far as copy of invoices and stuff like that. And the only other additional things we collect, and you can actually upload them on the DocuSign, is copy of your driver's license and a voided business check. And that's really it. It can all be done literally within an hour after your approval. So, we are one of the nationwide lenders that preach same-day funding, Now, not a lot of lenders can do it. We do it, and we do it very well. Obviously, it all depends on the customer and their urgency to want to get something like this done. But if it's next day, or if it takes a few days, the approvals are good for 90 days. So if there is some time that you need to figure some stuff out, we obviously have time, and everything is meant for speed and efficiency and effectiveness. So yeah, that's pretty much the process, start to finish.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds pretty. It took a long time for you to explain it, but I don't think it's that long to actually do it. It sounds very straightforward. I've seen the link before from obviously from our page. If you go, and I did post the link in the chat here, so anybody who wants to click on that can go ahead if you're ready to get pre-approved right now. And that, I'm sure this will be asked too. Is there any obligation if they get pre-approved to do anything? Is there any cost to it or anything like that?
No, nope.
So it doesn't hurt to get pre-approved. And like Mike said, it's a soft credit hit. It's not going to affect your credit. So
Yep.
I think that's important. One of the questions was the limits on 179, but I think you touched on that. It's about $1.2 million in terms of how much you can. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was, okay. So there are two other questions for me here. One was how much maintenance is required on the Vulcan? The answer, I think I kind of addressed that as well, is it's very much set it and forget. We have videos that we can send you of the installation. Installation is very straightforward as long as there's enough space, which is pretty. Again, the smallest one I know takes about 20 inches of pipe, and basically what you do is, and I'll see if I can find a quick picture for you. But while we're talking to everybody here, basically you're just going to wrap this around the pipe, and from there you're basically going to there's a box that comes with it. I'll see. I think we have a picture of that. Give me 1 second, folks. But while I'm looking for the picture, you're basically going to we have an actual box to hold the Vulcan in, or you can just literally, a lot of folks, almost everybody, just zip ties it to the pipe, because when you see this, it's very secure. And I don't have one here with me in front of me, but I can tell you that it's not going to break or anything like that. Most people don't even go with the box because it costs a few $100s, whereas they can. Here's that picture. Hang on 1 sec. It's Smart Valve. 1 second. Yeah, you can see a good picture of it here. So that box, what that is really, it's not even a box that holds it. It's basically a circuit breaker that's enclosed in a heavy. It's not. I wouldn't even call it plastic. It almost feels like, put it this way, I could pick it up and throw it across the room and hit it off the wall. That thing is not getting damaged. I mean, that thing is hard as it's literally a rock. So what you do is, as you can see there from the picture, this particular picture shows it zip tied to the pipe. You have the copper bands wrapped around the pipes on both sides of it, and then you have the red wires actually go to the copper strands, and then that black wire is where you're plugging it into the wall. So it's a very easy installation. Almost 99% of people will self-install this. You don't really need any help with it. It's very straightforward. So hopefully that answers your question. And the last question I had in the chat was, what is the savings and expected ROI if you combine Smart Valve and Vulcan? Well, if you're combining them together, I mean, what we've seen, and again, there are some contingencies here. Smart Valve, typically you're going to save 15 to 25% on your usage. So any fixed charges on your water sewer bill, we're obviously not going to be able to affect that. If you're paying for a meter, if you're paying a minimum amount, that we can't affect. But anything regarding usage costs is going to be between 15 and 25% reduction. That's almost, I don't want to say it's guaranteed because there's no guarantees in life, but most of our customers save between 15 and 25%. That's very common. From Vulcan, it really depends on how bad the situation is there. If you've never done anything to address your building and you're in a hard water area, the savings could be immense. It could be 30 or 40% on your energy costs, plus all the other savings we talked about: reduced maintenance calls, less, longer equipment life, tenants being more happy with their experience. All that's factors. Now, we do have a self-test to test your water. There's a couple ways you can see, am I in a hard water area? If you have ChatGPT, it's a great solution. It'll give you a good idea if you are or not.
But we also have a test where it's just a strip and you can basically just run some water over it for about 10 seconds, give it a minute and see how dark it gets. And the darker it gets, the more hard your water is. So if it gets anything from anything above a pink color, I would say, and anything a little darker than that, you've probably got some scale and corrosion there if you're not addressing it already. We also had a question on the last webinar we did. We had somebody say, well, I have a water softener in place already, but I'm sick and tired of putting all this salt in it every single month. Can this help? And the answer is yes. We actually had a customer that wrote us a testimonial that had a residential softener. And I always tell this story, or I've told the story a few times, I should say. And basically he would fill up his salt every 2 weeks. And he was getting tired of it too, because it's a pain in the neck. You're hauling these 50-pound bags around. You got to dump it in there. You got to, do this, that. Plus, he was changing filters, changing membranes, all that good stuff. He put the Vulcan in before the water hit the water softener. Okay, and then he filled it up with salt like he normally does. He waited 2 weeks. He went back, went to go check the salt, figuring he'd have to fill it up again. He said it was less than 10% empty. So in 2 weeks, he went from using a full thing of salt to using about 10% of his salt. And again, so to answer the question, a lot of folks do that because they want to cut, just the cost of salt alone can be pretty immense. I left the hospital a couple of weeks ago. I went in and they have these really big machines and they literally had pallets of salt bags. These are 50-pound bags, probably 20 or 30 bags to a pallet, just lined up in their boiler room. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? You know how much money first of all, you know how bad for the environment it is, number one, what you're putting in the system. Number two, people don't realize you put salt into the system and you have young children or elderly, that's going to affect them too, because you're adding to their salt intake. And then number three, between the maintenance on that and the man hours of filling that thing up with salt every week or every 2 weeks, and the cost is just astronomical. So yes, Vulcan can help, and it will. Vulcan and Smart Valve both have very fast return on investments, and Smart Valve has always been less than a year typically. Vulcan, we've seen it in 3 months pay for itself. So, I mean, I hate, Mike, you probably won't even believe this, but I think Vulcan has a better ROI than Smart Valve, and you and I have been talking about Smart Valve for years, and you know how fast the return on investment is. Vulcan is probably twice as fast, usually on average. It's usually 6 months or less. So, I mean, it's pretty incredible. So any last questions for either of us? And then I just want to put this last slide up there because I want to emphasize this is definitely going away at the end of September. I know folks have tried to, can I get you a check next week? No. September 30th, we need to have you financed and ready to go, or we're not going to be able to do it. We might do it later in the year. That's a possibility, but I can tell you now is the only time for sure we're going to do it this year. It's a great opportunity. You get to combine cost saving, and by the way, you can also reach out to Mike for, if you have other equipment that we don't offer, you can certainly reach out to Mike for other programs. They won't be 0%, but they do have other programs where you could finance your equipment and still get the 179 write-off, right, Mike? Get out of turn. Yeah,
absolutely.
But from our standpoint, we've got solutions that are going to save you money. It doesn't matter if it's in your budget or not. We actually just had a customer, Mike, we were just talking about this the other day, where they couldn't implement a Smart Valve in the budget, and we talked about financing, and they're going to move forward in finance anyway, just because even though it's not in their budget, they know that they can finance it and spread that payment out over 24 months, and they want the 0%, they want the 179 savings, and they want to start saving on their water and sewer costs. So I don't know if there's ever going to be a better time, Mike. Can you, unless you have a negative where Trio Capital is going to pay the customer to take a loan, I don't see how this gets any better than this, right?
No, I mean it would be a little better if the Eagles win the Super Bowl again. But we
have Cowboy fans on this call right now, right? I think you just cut yourself out of the market.
I'm looking at the biggest one, I think.
No, probably the longest one, 40 years, man. That's long.
But I think it's really, we keep hammering the same point home, but the proof is in the pudding. The value is there. It's obviously Nike's logo. Just do it. You got to act, and it's a lot of people just don't wind up acting, and we're trying to set up all the right structures of for customers like your specific customers, why the value is what it is. And, I think we've done, and we're starting to see the results of it, but we're just, obviously going into Q4 here, we're trying to put a little bit of rocket fuel on it. And yeah, we're just trying to obviously present this pretty much once in a year, once in a couple of year type of promotion together that could really, really help a lot of customers. And I think that's what we're doing here.
Well, and I want to touch on something too. We're a Capital. It doesn't cost you anything to do a free evaluation. And in the chat box, I put in our contact. There's a link to our contact page. Contact us. So if you say, hey, I'm interested in Vulcan, or I'm interested in this solution, somebody will reach out to you and talk to you about it. Having a conversation costs you nothing but a few minutes. In the last chat there, I also put in, there's a page for our smart valve evaluation. We need a couple basic pieces of information to get started. Basically what we need is the size of your incoming line to the property, what your average water sewer cost is per month or per year, and some basic details on the property. And we can tell you right off the bat, hey, this makes sense for you. In fact, I had a customer just the other day called and said, hey, I've got we have a 3-inch line coming to our property, but our water bill is only $5,000 a year. And I said, well, it probably doesn't make a lot of sense for you because, the 3-inch actually costs more than what your entire bill is for the year. Now we can do it. I don't think you should do it because it's going to take you a long time to get your money back, probably about 6 or 7 years. But, we come across it all the time, and we're going to tell you, listen, the best deals and the only deals we like to make are the ones that make sense for everybody. And with everything we're putting in place for this month, it really makes sense. Now is the time. I mean, Smart Valve makes sense on its own. Vulcan makes sense on its own. With 179, it's even bigger. With 0% financing, it's even more of a home run. And now that we're offering, if you're one of the first few to order, or you get both solutions, we're going to give you 10% off on top of that. I can't think of a better way to do this. And I just want to, we're here to help people. That's what it comes down to. We want to provide solutions, and I want these to go in because I know they work, and I know when you guys implement them, you're going to tell 5 more people about it. And that's what we want. We grow word of mouth. We're not a big Google advertiser or anything like that. We do webinars. We do things like this all the time just to educate people. But, Vulcan has just gotten to the United States, and we're one of the first to bring it over here. And when it hits and people start seeing it, I just had a customer tell me the other day, I think this should be like a worldwide initiative. I said, it is. It's just not in the US yet. It's just coming over, but it's a German made product. It's in 70 something countries already. In the last 6 months, we've done a few 100,000 already with it. We just brought it in not even 6 months ago. So yeah, I mean, it's there. So in any case, sorry, I was talking there for a while. Mike, any last points, anything you want to say? I want to thank everybody for coming on today, and go ahead. Anything you want to finish up with?
No, that's it. Yeah, I just wanted to thank you again for obviously having me on today, and it's always a joy working with you. And I'm just super excited to see what type of customers we can help out and get them improved and get them to take advantage of this great promotion.
Well, listen, I'm glad you came on as well. We've been longtime partners in this, and like I said, I'm really I hope folks reach out. It's never going to get any better than this. And that being said, Mike, make sure you keep your phone on tonight because I'm going to be calling later. I have a feeling we're all upset tonight. So
we'll see.
Everyone, enjoy first night of football. Thank you all for coming on again, and we'll be in touch soon. Please reach out. Let me just show you the last contact page one more time so you see my phone number and our email. And this is all in the chat as well. You can always contact us there. But thank you all again for coming on, and everybody have a great weekend and enjoy the last few days of summer.
Yep. Take care.
All right. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.